Zero. I really want you to just think about that for a second. Zero. That is the exact number of goals the Mexican national team has conceded in this entire World Cup tournament so far. In the absolute chaos of high-stakes international knockout football, keeping a completely pristine clean sheet through 4 games, it's practically unheard of. It is a staggering statistic, and honestly, it sets the stage perfectly for what we're going to unpack today.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We are stepping right inside the film room to break down Mexico's absolute masterclass of a 2-0 victory over Ecuador. Look, we aren't just going to rattle off the final score and call it a day. We're going to completely deconstruct their tactical blueprint, the incredible team synergy, and the superior overall strategy that made this utter dominance possible. If you want to know exactly how a team perfectly executes a game plan on the world's biggest stage, you are exactly where you need to be.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is Mexico's tactical blueprint for today. We'll kick things off with their historic fortress victory, then we'll break down their masterclass in aggressive pressing, examine that perfect synergy between youth and experience, see exactly how they exposed Ecuador's tactical flaws, and finally, we'll preview the ultimate test ahead. Section 1. A historic fortress victory, breaking the knockout curse. Before we even touch the tactics board, we literally have to talk about the psychology and the sheer weight of history here.
40 years, guys. For 4 decades, the Mexican national team has been totally haunted by the curse of the Quinto Partido, that elusive 5th game, the sheer inability to win a knockout round match. Year after year, tournament after tournament, this massive psychological dark cloud has just loomed over the squad. But with this 2-0 victory, that curse was finally emphatically shattered. You cannot overstate the mental fortitude it takes to step onto that pitch and just throw off 40 years of historical baggage. Overcoming that massive mental block was absolutely the foundation for everything they did strategically. Because a team playing with historical fear, they simply cannot execute a high-risk, high-pressing game plan.
And they didn't just break this curse anywhere, right? They did it at the Estadio Azteca. The Azteca is an absolute fortress. Mexico is now undefeated in 10 World Cup games there, picking up 6 victories in that span. Seriously, put yourself in the opposition's shoes for just a second. You're playing at a punishing altitude, you are completely surrounded by 100,000 screaming fans. Before you can even tie your boots, the crowd is definitely singing El Rey, and then after maybe 10 or 15 minutes, because of Mexico's sheer dominance, those same fans are shouting Olé with every single pass. It is pure psychological warfare. It's a fortress unlike literally anywhere else in world football.
Section 2. Masterclass in aggressive pressing, the opening blitz. Now let's get down to the pitch and see exactly how Mexico's superior team strategy weaponized that hostile environment. Their strategic intent was crystal clear, and it was perfectly summarized by this incredible quote from the analysis: "Go flying out of the traps, punch them in the mouth." I love that. This wasn't about cautiously feeling out the opponent or settling into the match. No way. Mexico's superior strategy was to treat those opening minutes like a heavyweight title fight. They used the absolute roar of that Azteca crowd to overwhelm Ecuador physically and mentally, landing a decisive metaphorical knockout blow right from the opening whistle.
So what did that opening blitz actually look like on the grass? Well, it was all about relentless high pressure in those crucial first 15 minutes. By pushing incredibly high up the pitch, they completely neutralized Ecuador's big names right out of the gate. They literally did not let them get a touch to settle. Offensively, Mexico was playing this beautiful, quick 1- and 2-touch football, forming these rapid attacking triangles. And this was brilliant because it forced Ecuador's defenders to make split-second decisions, constantly pulling them out of position and just slicing right through their lines. The entire goal was to stifle the opposition so much that they felt like they couldn't even breathe. It was a perfectly calculated, completely one-sided first 45 minutes that directly led to 2 stunning first-half goals.
Section 3. Perfect youth and experience synergy, the ultimate roster balance. Look, a tactical game plan is only ever as good as the players actually executing it, right? And Mexico found the absolute perfect blend of personnel to make this aggressive pressing work like a well-oiled machine.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the sheer contrast powering Mexico's engine. This was a very deliberate strategic choice. On one side, you've got a 17-year-old teenager, Mora. The kid is 17, yet he was utterly fearless, completely bossing the center of the pitch and actively demanding the ball in the biggest game of his life. Then you contrast that raw youth with the other end of the pitch, the seasoned veteran, savvy, and absolute clinical finishing of attackers like Jimenez and Jimenez Quinones. It is quite literally the ultimate tactical synergy.
Actually, let's talk about that veteran presence for a second, specifically Jimenez. 47 goals and 129 caps for his country. He is firmly cementing this status as an all-time Mexican legend at this tournament. But what makes his story so incredibly compelling is his pure resilience. We're talking about a player who suffered a horrific skull fracture in club football, an injury that kept him out for a massive chunk of time. He still plays with a protective headband, which is this really visible reminder of his battle back to the top. To be out there delivering stunning goals on the World Cup stage after that kind of adversity, it just makes him the ultimate emotional anchor for this high-flying squad.
And then joining him up front, you have Jimenez Quinones. Quinones has faced his own serious adversities, including dealing with awful racial abuse earlier in his club career in Mexico. But he has channeled all of that into becoming the most dynamic, unpredictable match-winning outlet on the left side. Strategically, his lethal unpredictability out on the flank perfectly balances the really calculated command that 17-year-old Mora is exerting right in the center. Analysts actually noted Quinones' ridiculous scoring ratio during his time in the Middle East. He scored something crazy like 65 goals in 68 games. He's translated that lethal, almost goal-a-game form straight into this tournament, becoming an absolute hero for Mexico and a total nightmare for opposing fullbacks.
Section 4. Exposing Ecuador's tactical flaws, the empty possession. So we've talked about Mexico's brilliance, but we also have to look at how systematically they dismantled their opponent. Ecuador didn't just stumble into playing poorly. Their flaws were deliberately exposed and forced by Mexico's superior strategy.
And this brilliantly illustrates a concept we like to call empty possession. Check this out. In the second half, Ecuador held a massive 70% of the possession, but they managed exactly one shot on target, one. They were essentially just passing the ball in circles in their own half while Mexico's defense comfortably watched, probably stifling a yawn, to be honest. This unbreakable wall was completely by design. Mexico's manager pulled off a master chess move. He let Ecuador have the ball, but only in completely harmless, useless areas where they posed absolute zero threat to the goal.
Ecuador's fatal flaws were brutally exposed by this setup. For one, they were heavily reliant on a 37-year-old striker, Ener Valencia, to carry literally their entire attacking threat. Because Mexico so easily suffocated that single outlet, Ecuador went completely goalless in 3 of their 4 tournament games. On top of that, their midfield discipline totally collapsed under the pressure. You had these seasoned professionals in the Ecuadorian midfield getting systematically passed around and completely overrun by a 17-year-old Mexican kid.
Look, when you are overwhelmed tactically, physically, and completely deafened by the crowd, frustration is inevitably going to boil over. And that leads us to the final collapse of discipline for Ecuador in the dying moments of the match. Piero Hincapié receives a late red card, reducing an already beaten team to 10 men. Now, the context of this red card is actually really fascinating for the modern game. It highlights a strict new refereeing directive that we are seeing enforced at this tournament. Referees are actively handing out straight red cards for highly abusive language. But what's key here is that they are specifically targeting and punishing players who cover their mouths to obscure what they're saying when they deliver a personal attack to an opponent. It's a really interesting evolution in the rules. But for Ecuador, it was really just the final frustrating nail in the coffin of a squad that was totally outclassed by a superior tactical game plan. Section 5. The ultimate test ahead. Can the playbook survive? The curse is broken, the fortress held strong, and the tactics worked flawlessly. But what comes next? The stakes are about to get exponentially higher in the round of 16. On one side of the scale, you have Mexico's incredible, unbreakable defense. Again, 0 goals conceded, paired with the immense advantage of the Azteca fortress. But on the other side, you have their looming opponent, a bona fide global footballing heavyweight. It's most likely going to be England or potentially DR Congo. It's the classic unstoppable force meeting the immovable object. But more than just individual players matching up, it's Mexico's overarching strategy that is truly going to be put to the fire here. Which leaves us with this massive question to ponder before the next match. Now that Mexico has definitively proven their tactical blueprint, the aggressive press, the perfect blend of youth and experience, that impenetrable defense, can they step up and execute this exact same superior strategic masterclass against a true global heavyweight? Because if they can, they won't just be breaking curses anymore, they're going to be fulfilling the ultimate promise to a deeply passionate footballing nation. It is going to be an absolutely must-watch clash, and you already know we will be right back here to break down the tape when it happens. Keep learning, keep watching, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.